Oh my god. So I'm sad. I'm sick. I guess got over a cold. I'm very depressed right now as usual. I only make videos when I'm really depressed. So I'm gonna talk about Steam libraries now, or just video games because I mean I have shit I need to do right now, but it's like you know whatever you know I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. And who gives a shit really? Rant about shit. Um, so I was looking through my Steam library yesterday with some friends talking about video games, and I was thinking about like, you know, of course I always make a mention of the sheer amount of video games that I own now, but like, you know, I really thought about it for a while, right? I really considered it, and it's just like, you know, I think it's just like a a weird existential horror that it's just like, sorry, existential horror that I just like have so many video games and I just see all of them and I'm like, oh, I mean, I'm never gonna play all of these games, you know. And it's not that I really even want to play all these games, but it's that I just will never be able to. Because most of the games I have, I don't even want to play. Like I get like a bunch of games from like for free, like bundles or whatever. But so I'm not really like a strategy real time strategy fan. So I'm never gonna play fucking like I don't know, Civ 2 that's in my library inexplicably. I'm probably never gonna open like SimCity 4 again. If I do want to play SimCity, I'm gonna play the SNES version or the SimCity 2000 maybe, but not SimCity 4. That one's kind of crusty. It's not bad, but it's just kind of crusty. You know what I mean? Like that's the gist of it. There's like so many video games that you have option and access to. Even if you're broke like I was, like the amount of free games you can play, like I'm telling you, having game knowledge is not a matter of like money. It's a matter of effort, and a matter. See, anything that's a matter of effort, people it'll be the path less traveled, no matter how much money it takes. Right? It's like people could take out loans for shit, but effort takes time. So it's like so many people will talk about like how many like their gaming PC setup, and then they'll play like fucking like Overwatch or Fortnite or fucking like League all day and be depressed or something. And then like somebody who grew up with like, like a fucking phone will just talk so fondly and depthly about like every RPG for the Super Nintendo because that's all they played. And I think that thing appeals to me. I think it's that like just because I have a gaming PC doesn't mean I'm not fucking broke as shit. It's that I just got lucky to have the opportunity to have a gaming PC, which in total is a very good purchase because like gaming on a console is much more expensive, especially if you're a Nintendo gamer. The Nintendo taxes are ridiculous. Like, you know, especially because I've been in and out of jobs, of course. So like the thing about it is that like if you have pocket money, like literally it costs less than like fucking Subway cost me like $10 one time. Fucking because I didn't want to go to Subway, but this is the only thing that was around, right? And then I realized I could buy literally like 3 games with that same $10. It's absurd. Like Final Fantasy VII, one of my favorite games, one of the best games ever made. Not the best version of it to be sure, but a version on Steam, is like $4, 350. It's not like I think the matter is like people just don't have the incentive to go and explore the games as like not even like an art form or whatever, but games as like a medium, just games in general. Like they don't have to see it like as this fucking high art whatever the fuck thing, like I do, but it's like people only have access to what they know about. You know, it's like if someone told me about like oh dude hop on 1990s African cinema, I'm like oh shit I didn't know about that shit because like I'm just not aware. How are you gonna be aware of something you're not aware of? That's the issue I had with like parenting or whatever. It's like all my life people have been talking like how do you not know that? It's like if I have not gotten taught, how the fuck am I supposed to know about that? Like how are you gonna punish me for trying to learn about something? You know what I mean? Like I'm telling you right now, if you listen to this shit, if someone punishes you for trying to learn something, tell them to fuck off. Tell them to go fuck themselves and tell them to come back with a better attitude. I'm trying to learn here and your ass is being all snippy about it. Go fuck yourself. So the gist of it is that, video games are one of those things where it's like you have access. I mean, I don't know. It's not as easy as with like film or like you know, TV or even anime, like especially anime, like it's weird like how different genres are valued. I think the gist of it is that, people in general are very like the only art form that I'd say is like they're okay. There are a couple art forms where I'd say it's like the oldest value over the new, where it's like books, the classics, because they're just systematically taught, are valued over the new, and also like visual arts like paintings and stuff have the same issue where it's like they're valued so much over. And since film school and like gaming college or whatever the fuck are so much less common, those things, or at least people don't really think about those things the same way. It's they just newer stuff is valued more in those cases, right? I mean, it's like for films, right? People talk about films like it's like I don't think like they didn't have that many films before the 90s on streaming services, but people mainly talk about films within the past 20 years. And even with me, like I usually talk about films within the past 20 years or so. But I'm not, and I used to be way better about watching new movies or whatever. But it's like the matter of fact is that most people just don't go back and look at like the path less traveled because the path less traveled. You know what I mean? I think that's why I think about this a lot because it's just like the reason that the way I am is because I've had to go through this shit because I bought fucking Mad World for Wii on for like $3 on thing because of like a Rebel Taxi video one time, right? And I didn't really fuck with it honestly. I'm gonna go back and play it more. But the very least, I think it's really cool because as John DiMaggio as the fucking announcer or whatever, it's fucking raw as shit. That game's really cool. I'm saying like cool shit like that. You don't get like if you just ask someone's got to put you on, and I think that's a big issue now is that we don't have anyone to put you on to shit. You know what I mean? Like that's why people need friends and connections and shit. That's a big deal. I've been pushing over and over again. Like on my end of Evangelion shit, you need friends and connections and come on, if you're here, you know that fucking. If you haven't watched Evangelion, get the fuck out of here and go watch Evangelion. What are you doing? Like Evangelion, Ava. Shut the fuck up. It's not about the pronunciation. It's about the message. God damn, go fuck yourself. They go fuck yourself, but I don't mean it. I don't mean it. I love you. What's it called? I think the gist of it is that you know, there's so many options for like games. It's like, people are so enamored with like the new and now. But it's so funny because they always go back and play their old guard games though. It's like, TF2. I accept that people love TF2. It's just like, because TF2 is like a fun game. That's a fun FPS. I probably like a match or two of TF2. I like it. Um, I think, it's like Quake 3 Arena. People are still playing fucking Quake 3 Arena. So those are the fucking hyper boomers or whatever the fuck, because like the actual regular boomers or whatever the fuck are playing TF2 because they're fucking like in their 40s or whatever. Because like I gotta pick up my kid from soccer practice, but I need to get a match of Scout. You know what I mean? Like okay, fair enough. But I think the gist of it is like you play what's it called, Quake 3 Arena on Dreamcast. So it's so funny. But I think the gist of it is that I've been thinking about this recently. Is that people who like explore genres are usually happier about like the way things are. I don't know. Even if they don't like the way things are modernly, they at least like the genre enough to say the direction it should go back into. Like fucking gatekeeping anime fans are annoying as shit, but like if they're like, we should start making anime with like, wider a wider spectrum of like storylines or whatever. I'm like, okay, I'm willing to listen. But also it's like I can't take your opinion that seriously because you're talking about 80s OVA, and 80s OVA were like all about fucking just action and just the fucking hyper like super action sci-fi shit, which is like like what's it called, like the mecha like Macross shit, or like all the fucking like the Dirty Pair, fucking Bubblegum Crisis, or whatever the fuck. I don't watch anime. I just research anime, by the way. I don't know. I need to look up 80s OVAs. 80s OVAs. So I know what I'm talking about. This is what you gotta do. You gotta look it up, Shep. Like, if I'm wrong, I'm willing to admit that I'm wrong. Just don't rub in my face. Don't be an asshole about it, right? I'm learning here, right? Let's see. Arm Riches 3, Bubblegum Crisis. Gunsmith Cats was fun. I watched Gunsmith Cats. Oh my god. The character designs like that are great. Parasite Dolls. Yeah, no, all this shit is sci-fi, which I should go and watch this shit because I fucking love sci-fi way more than fantasy. I think we looped back over where isekai is so popular that everything's fantasy now, and I love sci-fi. I'm like, dog, go back to sci-fi. um, they call it Blackjack. Oh, that's a long running manga. Robot Carnival. Yeah, it's a Pat Labor. Oh man, yeah. No, I need to watch. I'm just going on fucking Mal or whatever just while I'm talking about this shit. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Crusher Joe, Rock Carnival. Yeah, the 80s. But the thing about 80s OVA is that I'll give you this. Like, they are so fucking high budget that there's literally nothing else like them because this like the bubble economy and the mix of bubble economy and the mix of that and like the traditional animation and just the keeping like skilled labor. I don't know if they paid animators well then either, but like at the very least they had really good results, I'll admit. So that's the gist of it. Um and issues. I talk about anime, but I just don't watch anime because I'm I just can't feel it, man. Hopefully, like, listen, if you listen to this and you want to get me an anime, put me on, DM me on whatever the fuck, on Twitter or something, like legit. Like if you want to put me on, if you want to like actually like it's like if I listen, that's like how do you make friends? If you want to make friends, I think you know like people are very lonely these days. People are very lonely and alone and lonely and alone. People are very like isolated. I think people just don't remember how to make friends. And this is I'm gonna tell you this because I'm good at making friends. I'm not good at keeping the relationship up and maintaining it, but I'm very good at making friends initially. I think my batting average is above average slightly, not amazingly, but slightly above average. And I will say that the way you do it is just by yapping about your interests and forgetting cringe or whatever. Because if someone calls you cringe, they should go fuck themselves, They should go fuck themselves. Because, if they're cringe, it's like, the thing about it's like most things where it's like, you don't want to be around someone who just can't be genuine. You know what I mean? Like at all. Like those are fucking most annoying type of people. People who just like never stop joking around. Like, oh my god, dog, say something that's like actually like what you think. That's the thing I've noticed more of the internet. It's like, you know, like back in the day, people used to be like, they're fucking insane if they couldn't like if they kept up a joke to a certain point, but it was really funny because they're just trolling hardcore. But now people are just like, their whole personality is joking for the. I don't know how to explain it. Like it's a marked difference. Maybe I'm just getting too old for this shit, but I think there's a marked difference in like the perception of like you know irony or whatever. It's like how many layers can you go deep, and it's like we're past the lit point where it's like even like amusing anymore. So it's just like because I feel like after the pandemic or whatever, we just got like a refresh or whatever. It's not really a refresh, but I think the pandemic is like what's it called? I don't know. It's a difference in like mentality or something. Maybe I'm stupid, but if you're listening to this, like I'm assuming that anyone's even listening to this shit. But apparently people say that like they put on this shit or whatever because they want to. So I don't know. I don't know. What do you want me to say? But yeah, I'm just thinking about like video games and art in general, and it's like, the further you go back, the better it feels. It's not even the fact that like that like it's not even the fact that like art is or whatever is necessarily better when you go back. I think the gist of it is that getting a wider range of understanding based on whatever medium you're interested in at that very moment would just like enhance your life. You know what I mean? I think like especially if you're an artist, like I cannot stress this enough. I think all these fucking artists, and I love artists, I love fucking visual artists. But again, I keep talking about this other people. I think like there's a certain like there's not enough confidence in visual arts through even like the up top people, the talented people, or whatever, the people making money. It's like only people who are like they're only people who they move different. You know what I mean? They move different. Like they don't like fucking like people who just don't talk to anybody and just stay on their own lane. I think those are like the most confident people. Even if they're not confident, they're at least like appear that way because it's just like a lot of people just yelling at other people and they're just so like they're probably like, oh man, I'm gonna lose my job in 2.5 milliseconds. I might as well crash out. There's no reason to do that. There's no reason to do that. I mean, you might lose your job in 2.5 milliseconds because of corporate greed, but I think the gist of it is that you don't have to like go and make everyone hate you. It's like you'll be okay. You'll be okay. I think everyone needs somebody to say you'll be okay and just pet them and say, oh, it'll be all right. It'll be all right. But until then, just listen to this fucking rant or whatever. But I think, yeah, I can't stress. I'll talk about this shit until the end of time. Every time I go and I talk about the same fucking things because I think I believe this shit, and I will believe this shit for a long, long time. It's like, um, you know, you should just go and like explore a little bit more. And I think that's it. I think the gist of it is that people get so because I think having a job and paying taxes and paying rent just takes so much out of you. That just like shit. But the thing about it is that it's like the same thing with like saying you can't like because okay like I don't mean to like be mean or anything. And I guess like the thing about it is understanding is like key, right? But there's a lot of people who say like, I can't talk to anybody because I'm so socially anxious and I'm so like alone. I don't know how to talk to people. I've lost the skill or whatever. And it's like, I get it. It's like I definitely get it because there's it's like you want to throw up. You want to fucking just like throw up. You feel like so like you trembling, you're fucking crying. It's horrible. But I think the gist of it is that, you know, like the way I've been doing a bit of life, and I don't have a good life, but at least have like a life that's worth living in a sense, is that you know, I a lot of things that's helped me is that saying like it's like the Goku fucking line from like Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi whatever, where he's like Super Saiyan 3 using the dragon fist. He's like, if I don't, who will? He's like, yeah, if I don't do this shoot, who will? Like if that's what I use with everything. That's why I make so much shit because it's like literally, if I don't use that My Bloody Valentine sample, who else will do that? I can't wait for someone else to sample My Bloody Valentine. I want that shit now. It's me because I'll do it right. Because if you wait for someone else to do it, they'll do it wrong. They will do it wrong. They won't do it wrong, but they will do it in a way that is not. I could have done that better. I could have done that better. Even if they do it in a way better than you, you're like, I would have done that differently though. I would have done it differently. That's the gist of it. You got to do it though. I think, a lot of the issues like people just like like wondering when they can start doing shit or how they start doing shit, and it's like, they just don't do it. So, and I think like so much of this like, motivational speaker type bullshit is like that I'm saying right now, in fact, is that, people just need permission to go and do shit, but like they need like, because they need someone to unlock their fucking brain. It's like it is as simple as that. I think, once you listen to someone say it a certain number of times, it's just like it might just like work. So I think it's just a matter of like if you want to go and make something, you go and do that shit. Because I think the matter of fact is that like I learned early that like life is one of those things like, oh well, it's like, well, it's like life fucking pass you by, man. Like, Kurt Cobain was only 27 when he died, man. That shit will like pass you by. And, if you fucking if you listen to this and you say like, oh, 27 is young. No, it's fucking not. I mean, 27 is old. No, it's fucking not. Because 27 is like, maybe not a quarter of your life, but definitely only a third. And it's like, if you go and like read all those stories about like, near death experiences or whatever, like listen to all that shit, it's like people will like think of like each day is precious once they experience certain things. And it's like I don't think people need to inherently have a fucking near death experience to feel that way. You know what I mean? It's like this is a misconception, I think. It's a really big misconception. I don't get why people just will like, have to wait for that shit to happen. But I mean I do get it because it's like, once you're just like in the riffraff for so long and you're worrying about like the day-to-day shit, you don't have the time to go into the grand scheme of things. I don't know. Maybe it's just an inherent like difference. But yeah, I think the better this it is that, and it's like me. It's like I'm having that. I guess I have that issue right now. Again, I'm in the middle of moving. Moving is listen. I keep talking about moving, but I am genuinely moving, but it's really complicated. I don't want to get into it. If you want to know, just fucking ask me. But probably by the end of this week, probably I should be packing right now. I have all my clothes in the fucking tub. Fucking all my shit is like spread around. My room's a fucking mess. I gotta learn, like, we'll leave all this shit behind because they paid for another month, so it's like, I mean, before I don't know about now. Weird, weird. I don't like dealing with fucking rent or whatever, but it happens. You know what I mean, it happens. But I think the gist of it is that you know, it's like fuck it, fucking hell, man. There's so much shit to deal with. You don't want to do nothing. And I get it because I don't want to do nothing. I don't do nothing right now. So I'm doing a fucking ranting into a microphone and scrolling Steam instead of doing whatever the fuck I should actually be doing. You know what I mean? But I think the gist of it is that you know, PC98 game. I think the gist of it is that yeah, I think well, let's talk about confidence basically, right? Confidence in art is that there are not enough artists. I sorry, I just like I'm not going to make these videos high, like, high density, high focus shit. You know what you're getting into when you come in here, right? Jeez. But I think the gist of it is that it's like, if you're an artist, you can't stay in your lane like too long. You gotta explore other shit. And I gotta explore this shit. When I talk about the shit that I'm talking about you gotta do, it's basically I gotta do. But, it's like if you, like, I'm telling you, if you're an artist, and I keep saying this shit, artists like because I think about the VTuber fucking shit, and I don't have anything against VTubers. I like VTubers like individually, but as a whole, it's the same thing as the art quote unquote community. It's just like a bunch of different art. It's not really a community because communities typically have some camaraderie. I think not just a commonality, but a camaraderie. I guess I don't know. I don't know. It feels like that at least. Like you should, but either way, like and the artists community like VTubers or whatever, musicians, whatever the fuck, is that like they stay in their lane too much. What like musicians like the higher thing musicians like they take that's why I take like music I say music if you take I feel music more highly, but I'm very biased. But I think the gist of it is that, you know, if you're an artist, you should take from various sources. Yeah. I'll say this shit all the time. I probably said this shit before, but are you fucking listening for like are you listening anyway? I like for artists, they should take from different sources because a lot of artists, right? If you're a manga head, then it's like if you're a manga head, you gotta read more manga than like first two manga. You gotta read more than you gotta look at more than manga. Like Fujimoto. I love Chainsaw Man. I was thinking about Chainsaw Man so much. I love Chainsaw Man. And Power is based on fucking Eric Cartman. I swear to God. So it's like, you know, like you gotta go and explore more avenues to take from, Like my life was fucking changed when I started going to like punk shows or whatever. Because I'm cool now. Because I'm cool now. Cool and gay as shit or whatever. But like, you know, like if you want the upper edge or quote unquote, because it's not really a competition. People say this shit's a competition. It's not really a competition. The competition is like because of capitalism or whatever. So fucked up that people want to like compete because like there's only like a little bit of money going around. So sad. Um, but yeah, I think like you want an upper hand or whatever in your skill that you're crafting for yourself and nobody else. um, that you should probably go and just like absorb everything you can. Like give everything a fucking chance. Everything. You don't understand. Everything should have a chance. Like the gist of it is that you know like art is just inherently beautiful. That's what I think it is. Like even like listen, I went someone dragged me out to go see like Avatar 2 one time. I did not like that movie. But I watched it. I gave it a chance. And at the very least I know I don't like it. I think I was kind of compounding on the last thing I said where it's like, you know, I keep talking about the same shit. I don't know. Whatever. I'm gonna talk about the same shit anyway. I fucking whatever, man. I think the gist of it is that these motivational speaker shits or whatever will always reiterate the same thing because it is human nature to like filter out a message until it's repeated because like your brain will not take in something unless it literally is repeated by virtue of what's it called? Like the brain processes things based on the needed knowledge. So it's like based on recall. So it's like that's why if you cram your fucking math test it's like half and half if you'll be able to remember it. Probably not because your brain hasn't developed the recall versus it, and also that's why you don't remember it after because your brain doesn't need it anymore, so it dumps it out. So it's like if I say go and consume good art, and you didn't hear it the fucking first time, then you gotta hear it again, and I gotta hear it again because sometimes I don't do that shit. But I think like I was saying before is like if I don't make myself do it, who will? I guess. But I really don't want to do nothing right now. That's why I'm making a fucking video. Just making a fucking video instead of doing anything of value. I don't know. Maybe this video has value to someone else. Maybe, but it's like I think the gist of it is that I wouldn't know. I won't know that until I guess I make it. I guess. but I think I just like doing it because yapping in front of a mic is pretty fun. I like doing it. So it's like one of those things. But yeah, I was just thinking about Steam libraries because there's so many visual novels, right? I talk about visual novels, but it's like the I don't know if I talked about this before, but like visual novels, the actual like dating sim visual novels are not accessible and they're expensive. Clannad's fucking like the most expensive game on Steam that's not like a fucking brand new game. That shit's never gone on sale under like $15. And every other game is like 10 or below. If a game's $10, I got fucking Final Fantasy 15 for that same price like 4 years ago. Like it literally is that much. So it's like, you know, I don't know. It's like if you want to get into visual novels, you gotta go and like patch PC 98 like disk ISOs or whatever, and like go back to the shit. I think that's very interesting. I guess a lot of PC 98 games are just porn in general, and then most people are like, "I don't want to watch porn. Porn is cringe. Ew." Porn. And I guess like probably shouldn't be like thinking it either way. But I think the gist of it is that if you're 18 and above, then you should at least you know if that is your prerogative, you just give it a chance in terms of like the style. I think it's cool. Because video games are cool. I like video games. I think they're cool. I don't know why I'm even doing this. I'm just ranting. I'm raving, you know, and just like talking about shit. Letting your mind wander is a good thing to do sometimes. You can't just always be like focused, straight mind. You know what I mean? It's like going to different topics is how our brains work. Has the synapses and shit. So that's why like probably the reason it's like you can't focus on shit because your brain synapses will just inherently try and switch to another thing that it considers more apt or entertaining or whatever. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. Like for me, I just think about whatever I want to most of the time, most of the time, you know. But yeah, I like old RPGs. I should play them more, but I can't focus on them. I wish I could. I ran out of Adderall a fucking while ago too, dog. Like it's been literally like years since I've taken that shit. People talk about fucking Adderall addiction. You know how hard it is to get Adderall as an actual fucking like sufferer of ADHD, ADHD. It's like fucking difficult that shit is. They make you go and like go to a fucking doctor's appointment. You gotta fucking like go and get like a fucking checkup or whatever every fucking like couple of months. I'm like, dog, leave me the fuck alone. I just want my shit from it's like I feel like it's like you want to get like the illegal shit just by virtue of like it's just so hard to get to legal shit. You know what I mean? Like I think that's the issue. It's like I have such big issues with like the way like medical shit is happening anyway. But that doesn't really matter. But I just have an issue with that because it's like, if I wanted to be medicated, it'd be like it's so much harder. Well, I do want to be medicated, but it's like it costs money. I don't got no money. It's like I didn't want to do nothing. If I had to go out of my way and go drive someplace to go and like get a pill to take for every day for about a month or about I think 3 months is where it lasts. Maybe no, I think that one's only a month. And then like you have to go and do it again. It's like no, I don't feel like doing that shit. So no wonder people just sit around and just don't got that shit because it's like you got to do so much shit. And it's like would I rather eat for like a couple of days or would I rather like you know be able to focus better. It's like, well, even if it's debilitating, it's like, well, I'd rather live. It's like, not, I don't know. But I think about it. It's like, whatever. Let your mind wander. Whatever. See me rant about shit. I think there's a certain, well, I'm already talking. So I think there's a certain, like, you know, there's a matter of, I don't know. I'm not editing this shit. Sorry. Doesn't matter. I think a lot of people just, like, turn on this shit just for, like, something to listen to. They don't even listen to what I'm saying right now. I can say gobbledygook, and they want me to. If you remember gobbledygook at the end of this shit, then your brain just literally imprinted on that shit. You have no control over it. Gobbledygook. I said it 3 times. You know, brain's recalling that shit. Now it's like gobbledygook. Now you know. Now you remember. Comment gobbledygook at the end of this for nothing, for absolutely fucking nothing. What am I supposed to give you? I don't got nothing. I don't know nothing. But yeah, I don't know. I'm very sleepy and tired. I feel very tired. Yeah, but I think the gist of it is that video games are cool. I'm sorry for talking about video games. Like, you know, video games are great. You know, it's a cool video game that I've been playing recently. I've been playing a little bit of Signalis, not that much. I'm very bad at playing video games. It actively hurts me that I can't play video games. Like it, like literally, like I can't. I've been trying to lock in a little bit, but it's been hard. It's very difficult. Um, like I've been playing a little Persona 3, and the fact that I played 8 hours of it is already like impressive. You know what I mean? And some people have like fucking 80,000 hours on a game. You know, it's like I don't know, crazy. I don't think I'll ever be able to have that many hours on a game again. Maybe 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 one day. But it's like the Persona 3 portable. I'm trying Disco Elysium. 'Cause that's a good game. It's a great game. I bought it like years ago. I have people like keep recommending me it or talk and they're fucking autistic about it. I'm like, okay, you know, I gotta give it a try. I gotta give it a try again. And I gotta say, I get it, I get it. Like like the gameplay loop is just inherently very like satisfying. Just all these checks, it is so much like D&D, but it's like D&D satisfying because of the role playing aspect where you get varying checks on based on stuff. But it's like Disco Elysium also has the console or I guess JRPG kind of format of being like accessible with a controller and menuing. You don't need like fucking like 50 billion keyboard to do that shit. So I don't know. I also been playing this game. Well, I also played the demo for this game called Detective Instinct. Farewell, my beloved. That's a good game. I've been following it on Twitter because it has like the snatcher menus where it's like the ADV menus where you go up and it says look and then you press it and it looks for you instead of having to do the point and click thing. Which the point and click thing is cool, but it's not my thing because I tried playing a couple point and click adventure games. And a lot of those games, you're just overwhelmed, inundated with so many thousand things that like touch at one time. And it's like those backgrounds are beautiful, but like that's like I think the menu's just better for me. I wish more games use the menu. And I wish more games were adventure games in general because every game's like a 3D game now. But we're kind of rolling it back to like feeling what we want and seeing gaming history. That's why I'm so like passionate about like people studying the history of their genres or mediums they want to work in, because um or just studying a lot of just different stuff because how do you get more variation in your games aside from like introducing things that are interesting and cool from other mediums. And I think that the more we close ourselves, I mean, of course, never listen. If you're depending on the AAA to give you interesting ideas, then are you fucking dumb? Like I think they have an obligation to a certain point, but I think like it's not gonna happen. Like legitimately, they don't have. If it's not gonna make the money, it's not gonna happen. So, um, you know, just go and search out the cool shit. And I can't stress that enough either. Kurt, search out the cool shit. Make your own cool shit because you know corporations. I'm fucking. I really hate. I genuinely fucking despise corporations now because fucking GameStop just closed off Game Informer for no goddamn reason, and they just like axed their entire website because they're fucking petty. And I think like corporate motherfuckers are just like people with like um mental and emotional issues that they don't want to get diagnosed because it will affect their like not only their greed because they want to save every single micro penny for whatever death I guess, but also because like it'll affect their pride, which is more important than any amount of money in the world, And it's like, and especially because improving is not easy. Improving is not easy. Again, it's the same thing. It commits time. It's like you can't pay for mental well being. That's why some people like you talk to like a grandmother or whatever who's like just very happy and bubbly, right? They have a peace of mind that no one else like in the world has because they just like have just settled all the issues that they've had through their life and they're just thing. It's like not everyone is even like that, but I'm saying like there are people who are like that. It's like that doesn't take money, you know. It takes time. It takes like effort. It takes like talking to people and experiencing genuinely hard conversations. It's not gonna happen easy, you know. And it's like, you know, even I know that from like a third person perspective, but I just, you know, sometimes I just have that shit just because my brain does weird things to me. But it's like I don't know. So it's tough. It's very tough. Oh, yeah. Detective Instinct Farewell, My Beloved. That's a good game coming out soon. They have a demo for it right now. I love Mega Man, but Mega Man. I've tried Honey Pop. I don't know why. I got it for like $1 or something because I was bored or whatever. I think, um, you know, Honey Pop. I'll basically, you know, it's like I'll the issues with visual novels again. Like I'll just engage with fucking anything that is a visual novel, but every visual novel I've had access to is like Western anime inspired, which is fine because I like them. But everyone's like, well, you gotta go on the good shit. I'm like, all right, well, you know, buy me fucking like Canon and I'll do it. Like, you know, like I just bought Love. Don't fuck with me. I'm trying here. I'm genuinely trying. Give me a break. You know what I mean? Like it's like people are gatekeeping the shit, but like they're not playing the shit themselves. That's what I'm talking about. I hate that shit. Like either like you know what I mean? Like it's just like fucks with me. It fucks with me because it's like people are complaining that other people. That's why I hate about Twitter. I can't talk about Twitter because it causes me anxiety and agony, but I can't get off it because it's like it's like folds a crease in my brain that I need folded. But I think about it and it's like my big issue is that like people complaining don't even play this shit anymore. Like, and it's like you know I'm bad at playing games. I'll admit it. I'm very bad, and I can't say like you know ADHD is the worst. Like I can't say it's all ADHD. It's more of just like sometimes it's just like you know I don't want to engage with stuff genuinely deeply, right? But but also at least I try. You know what I mean? But like I think issues that like, a lot of people just don't like they just look at the stuff in the third person's perspective or just a fandom or whatever of whatever thing they're looking at. I was talking about this yesterday with the fucking like the coffin of Andy and Layla or whatever, and I'm like, you know, because I was seeing that game, and it's like fucking incest game or whatever, right? To 3 people, and I'm like, you know, I'll give fucking anything a chance to a certain point, like, like it literally is like I don't give a shit. But like I think the gist of it, like for that game in particular, right? And you know, and if you're here and you're judging me, I don't know, do what you want. I don't really give a shit anymore. I don't give a shit about fucking nothing anymore. Do I don't give a shit about. I don't give a fucking. I don't care, man. I don't give a fucking. Who cares? Who even care? Why do people care about shit? We're in the fucking end days of everything or whatever. Fucking every summer's gonna be hotter from here, and we have nothing else to do besides be mad at each other, for fucking engaging in quote unquote media, and not even like making media or talk like it's fucked up. It's so fucked up, you know. And maybe it's because I'm just on Twitter and I'm talking to normal people, but all the normal people I only talk to about Twitter because I'm just very fucked up. But I think the gist of it is that okay, so basically for the coffin Andy lit, right? I like I went thing with this game because I'm just you know I see it everywhere and I'm like okay I think the game's cool looking at the very least. You know, I don't know much about the story, so I'll give it a chance. I'll watch a playthrough on YouTube, right? I didn't buy it. I don't have this game. It's one of because this game is fucking going on sale for like less than $7. Like if you went on sale for I'd buy any game for $2. I'm a fucking Mighty Number 9 fan at this point. I'd buy any goddamn game for $2. You know what I mean? But I think the gist of it is that you know once you engage with it, like I don't think it's like my favorite game or anything, but I think it does have interesting like character dynamics because you know there's nuance to it at least. You know because again I was talking to someone yesterday. This is like the developer of this game, like they made other games on itch. And I think the thing about this game is that it's an itch.io game that broke containment. That's why I'm so like obsessed with like things that are popular and become popular because once they break containment and they're like revealed to like the mainstream, it's so interesting to see how like not only does the public respond or the creator responds. The same thing with like In Utero. I think In Utero is so interesting on that level because it's one of my favorite albums, and I think like people like getting exposed to like a fucking Big Black album or some shit, or like a fucking like a fucking like Sonic Youth album, and they're just like a fucking middle schooler. They're like, what the fuck is this? Like they listen to this shit. They're like, I don't know. They're like, this shit is amazing. Somewhere between this shit is amazing. This is the worst album I've ever heard in my life. But I think most people would say this shit is amazing because the songwriting was so like, aggressively like pop still, even like with how much noise was in there basically, right? But I'm using it as a comparison because I always use a comparison. But I think this game often it's that it has the I think the there's interesting things to see from it because a lot of the aspects of it were like I don't think I think it's the art style that got me, and like it's more of an adventure type game, which the authors or whatever other fucking games were like visual novels, which I prefer visual novels because I like visual novels. But that was mostly from that experience because everything's fucking conveyed through like text boxes and like shit like that, right? That's the gist of it. So like like everything's conveyed through text boxes and like portrait shit, you know. And I think about it and I'm like, there's a lot to like, because visual novels are very economical when it comes to storytelling, and I feel very strong about visual novels. I just think they're really cool. I like them, and I want to make a Freshies visual novel one day, but I won't because I'm an idiot and I don't know how to make things. I keep talking to people about making things, but I don't make things. But I'm thinking about it, right? And it's like, if you want to make tell a story, the way you do that is through, I think there's various ways to tell a story, but the way I view this telling a story is that like, the minimum amount of conveyance of what you want to convey, right? So if you want to convey an emotion like someone is fucking like absolutely like grieving over somebody, you could do that in like 50 trillion different ways, right? But like an example would just be like, just them like, you know, like silently sitting over someone's casket, just staring at it blankly for like 5 straight minutes or something. Not like exactly 5 straight minutes, but, like implied 5 straight minutes, like like a fucking like that shit. I don't know, because there's like 50 different ways to convey something, right? Basically, so like a visual novel is like that same kind of thing where if you want to convey a story, you can go through and like just tell the audience what you want to tell them through the through text, and then if they need to see something that you want to convey like visually that will make it convey faster or like better, like he picks up the book, you see that character looking at the book and it's like very ornate and detailed, right? Then you could just visually show the book on screen, you don't have to go and describe it in great detail with pages and pages of dialogue or anything. Like you can, but you don't need to because they can see it visually, they can see it with their eyes. And I think that's kind of interesting aspect. And that's the same thing with this game. It's like the game is like, I'll say like the thing about it is like I find it very strange that people will go to up in arms about incest and then they're going back to their fucking like fan fictions that feature things that I could not even fucking name on here. I'm not saying one or the other is good, but I'm saying like it's just, it's a very just interesting dichotomy. I don't really care about any of this shit when it comes to like other people's thought about whatever shit because I don't respect other people's opinions. I respect my own opinions. But I do respect what's it called? Opinions of people I respect and my friends. And I do think there's a conversation to be had there about the unhealthy thing about it, but it's not portrayed healthily. That's the main thing about it. So you can tell, I think the main thing is you can tell when someone didn't meaningfully engage with the art behind it because their whole conveyed relationship is, it is conveyed as, as if a little bit fetishy where it's like, oh, it's kind of hot, but also it's conveyed as this is very unhealthy for both of them. And it's like a matter of like, they are together because of only their life circumstances forcing them that way, and they're codependent because they literally have no one else to depend on. Like they literally could not do, especially like later in the game, they literally could not go to anyone if they wanted to. Like they'd be arrested or whatever. So I think the gist of it is that or like I said, they're killed or whatever. So it's like, I think about like a bunch of just games like that where it's like, or like games or like whatever where it's like someone sees one part of it, because that's the thing with mainstream. They with the mainstream, And what, even I do this shit. So I'm not saying the mainstream is like this like force, but it's like, for people, they want to compress information down to a digestible piece of it, right? Because that's how the brains work. It's like, synapses, they can't keep everything equally. So um, for this game, it would be folded down to people people who have the fucking Ashley profile picture and annoying and incest game, right? And they don't have any reason to meaningfully engage with the plot. Even if they don't like it, they wouldn't have any reason to meaningfully engage with it because it'd just be like the people who are around it are so annoying. And I think the thing about it is that whenever you have people like the surrounding people around something is like it is like it's not important, but it's also just as important. Like it's like that's why I wait until like the end of like I wanted to read My Hero Academia now because it's the end of the run and the story's complete, but also it's like very much past its heyday in terms of like, the annoying people or whatever, quote unquote annoying people, because it's like, I don't like being involved with quote unquote fandoms. I don't like my engagement with media or art being dictated by like the greater, wider fan base or something. I like to engage with it on its own terms. And I think unless the author uses the the popularity of something as a meta like narrative sense, right? Again, that's like why I like In Utero so much, because the first line on it is like teenage angst has paid off well, now I'm bored and no, like that shit is so like meta, because it's like, well, Nevermind was based entirely off of the sales of like MTV viewers or whatever, teenagers who wanted to be like cool or whatever, right? And and Nevermind is a very cool album. So it's like that. But I think it's like I use it as an example because it's not an easy example to digest, but it's like easy enough if you're on already with me. It's not like something insanely hard, but I think it's like if you're here and you're like hoping for like fucking like baby's first media analysis, it's like I don't know. You got to go a little deeper than that. But I'm not going like into the hardcore stuff because like if you talk about some shit, but but I think like that's the gist of it. Also, Ashley's hot. Also Andy's hot. Both of them are very hot characters. Every character, listen, the author is very, very good at designing characters because every character in there is just like a certain level of attractive. Every character in there. This is impressive. But that doesn't really matter at this point. But I'm just saying that like the gist of it is that you gotta engage with it deeper than like whatever it is. I think about it sometimes. But yeah, man, I try one day. But I think it's one of those things. And I'm looking at the things like, yeah, they're making it. They're still making the video game. But yeah, that's just of it. I think about like a lot of games like that. Just a lot of games that like you see on the surface, and then once you try and dig into them yourself, it's like you see something more. Because especially with like memes, it's like they I like memes. I enjoy memes. But I think, once memes, again, like, I feel strangely about this. Once they get past the point where they're in jokes, there's a certain level of like, like, I don't think you get the joke that you're just applying to like everything. It's like, if I talk about an obscure section of a fucking like RPG, and I'm like, oh yeah, uh the fucking islands and well, not an obscure section. I'm like, okay, well, I'm talking about like the islands in Pokemon Mystery Dungeon or whatever. Like you get like level 1 or whatever, and they're like, oh, this is the hardest shit of all time, and everyone's like, yeah, I tried playing that, I got my ass kicked, right? And someone who hasn't played the game, they're like, yeah, I got my ass kicked too. And you didn't play the fucking game. It's like, if someone asks you why, you have to admit you didn't play the game. I think it's like one of those things. It's like because I do that sometimes too. I talk about shit and I haven't played the fucking game, or I haven't played it too like deep enough to say it like that. So I think that's the issue. It's like, um, I'm saying it because I don't want to like it, I want to have some humility here, and I don't want to like, assume that I am like better than everybody because I'm fucking worse than everybody. I should keep my face down, get back down. And I think the thing about it is like that. But I think it's very important to just actually play something. I'm going to talk about this occasionally for the rest of my life because it very much is important just to actually fucking do something. Because like doom scrolling all day is just not going to get you nowhere. And that's like what I'm doing because I'm so sad about it and I'm projecting. But I very much feel very strongly about it. Gotta save people from what I'm doing. Don't make my mistakes. Don't make my mistakes. Yeah. But yeah, same thing. Also, someone's been urging to play Undertale Yellow. And I gotta do that. and it's like I think about fan games or whatever. Fan games, ROM hacks, like translation patches, like all this stuff. I think the thing about games is that on Steam it's so much easier because I can go between my Steam Deck and my fucking PC or whatever. I love my Steam Deck. It's my favorite possession that I have at this point. Um, I love it. I'll kiss it on the cheek. It's like, mwah, kiss it to bed every night. It's kind of heavy though. It makes my wrist hurt a little bit. But yeah, I like it. I think the gist of it is that once the game has like cloud saves, I'll definitely go and like try and like play it more because that's happened to me a couple of times where I've played through again. Like I played through Chrono Trigger a couple of times, and I've always get restarted to the beginning because it always happens where like, I play it and then I get to a certain point and I gotta change the console because Chrono Trigger's on like five things, right? Not the most ported game of all time. It's on like five different consoles, right? Like I played the Wii version. I got to like what's his name, like Magus's dungeon or whatever, and like I got my ass kicked by Magus so many times. I was like, all right, well, I'll never play this game again. And then I tried another different playthrough, and then I got to like the Kingdom of Zeal or whatever, right? And I'm like, okay, this is great. And I got to like certain part, and I was like, okay, I'll play this eventually a little later. And I didn't. I didn't actually go and play that a little later. So, and then I have the Steam version now. I didn't touch that shit. So, the Steam version I feel like would be at least like a little more improved because like if I play through this version, I'll at least have this version later. You know what I mean? I think that's the gist of it. I think that's the gist of it. That's why I'm like, so like I like games on Steam better than anywhere else. Cause I'll rebuy games on like if they're cheap enough, I'll rebuy games from like Switch on Steam or maybe the other way around sometimes. If they're like I've Danganronpa one, I got it for $2 on Switch one time, right? It's like I don't feel like rebuying Danganronpa, but I'm saying like if it was that same amount of dollars on Steam, I would rebuy it. You know what I mean? Because it's like having it on both feels like it adds enough value to me. I don't know. It feels like it sounds stupid, but also it just makes sense to me. So I don't know. Like no one's even listening to this shit anyway. But I think the gist of it is that like you know, you know. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Um, I was looking through all my games. Like Momodora 4. I'm sorry, Momodora 5. Like I was talking about this the other day. Like Momodora 4 is one of the greatest games ever created. I think like it literally like Momodora 4 gets like what's it called? It definitely has the cult classic kind of status at this point. Let me see. Momodora Forever. Like, let me see how much views are average every like. Gameplay trails 100K, a couple playthroughs with like 50K, all bosses no damage. So I'd say like, let me see how much like reviews it has on Steam. I'd probably say like 500,000. Okay, no, it has 10,000 reviews on Steam. So, okay, so like Momodora like 4 is sufficiently a cult classic status, I'd say. And a Momodora 5, about 1,000 reviews. I think it'll take some time. I don't think it'll get up to that level, but I think it'll take some time to like get rolling because it might happen over time. But especially when those like heavier Steam sales roll in, because I got Momodora 4 for like maybe like $4 or whatever. But I think the gist of it is that I was looking at Momodora 4 yesterday. Like that game is so much like I think the issue with Momodora Moonlit Farewell, it's just Momodora 5, is that it's so much like it's in the shadow of one of my favorite games ever created. So it's like it won't be. I'm trying to meet this on its own level, right? It's a different kind of direction. But Momodora 4, just so much like I don't know. The tone is just so inherently different than that one because like in Momo 4, you talk to one person and it's like, holy shit, this is the only person I'll see for like a half an hour. And that game is not even that long. So you see like five characters in the game, right? And it's not like extremely lonely, but it's like, a lot it feels like a more hostile environment and it feels a lot more like hard to breathe in a sense, right? And it feels a lot darker. And then like Momo like 5 from what I've played right now, it's like, you at least have like one town and I'm not that far in. Maybe everyone fucking dies or something. But I think it's like you have a lot more people you come across, right? And I guess it's like I think it's a different direction. And it's like at the very least, it's like I'm glad that it got made. I like the gameplay, and also one big issue with Momo 5 is that like there's like a lot of just shit on screen sometimes. It's a lot of like flashing shit. That was one of my issues with Minoria or whatever the other game was, which I like Minoria a little better than a lot of other people, but I didn't play that far into it. But it's because it's just like I don't know, like I think it's just like the level. It's like the certain things like the Some things you don't think about, right? Like, how big is your sprite on screen? That's a huge thing, even though you don't think about it, right? Like that's a huge decision. Like for like if you make your own game engine or your own game, whatever, and you have a sprite like character sprite, like how big it is on screen is like a big deal, right? So Momo 4, it's like maybe like because it's a 4:3 aspect ratio for Momo 4, right? So it's maybe like a hundredth of your screen. Like maybe like one. It's like they're like 2, 3 heads tall, right? And then relative to the other characters. And then Momo 5, like the character is tiny. It's like maybe like a head of like one character, because the big characters are big, and then the main character is small. And then Noria has like a like gigantic character model. Not gigantic, but pretty sizable character model relative. So there's less like it depends, because it's like, do you want more or less space to do stuff with? Does it matter? Like it's like, the intensity, you want the camera up close. It's like a very like big issue like with game design. And I think, Momo 5 is, I'm getting through it. I'm not saying I'm not hating anything, but it's like I'm not feeling it the same way that I was feeling Momo 4, And that's the thing about it. 'Cause that's like I tried Momo 3 and it's not my thing. I don't know, because also they need to update it or something with the controller support. I think it might be too far back to update it. It's like there's not even like a point to do that. Like, Momo 1 and 2 are just like, I think Momo 1 and 2 are pretty cool, but they're like, they're very cave story worship kind of things, right? And I think they have their own value, right? But like Momo 3 is where it starts to become a distinct like game like type. And I think that's why people need to give like ideas more chances, because like whenever you fail, it's like you want to throw away the idea in totality immediately. Especially companies, I hate companies. I hate companies. Like if like a fucking Hi-Fi Rush is not gonna get a sequel because they closed down the fucking company. Like, oh well, we don't need that anymore. It's not gonna make us $50 trillion like our mobile games are. And our mobile games are doing great, and then until they don't do great, like, oh no, how are we gonna think of it? So it's like, iterating on an idea is very important. I think that's the gist of it. And I've never had the opportunity to iterate on an idea as much as then, because it's like I'm still the beginning of my artistic journey or whatever. We've been making this shit for like years upon years. Give me a break. But it's like I still kind of see the value of like going and continuing the idea to a certain point. It's like when you move past, and especially when you move past something, you're not like objectively past it. You can come back to it if you want to. But I think the issue is like, you know, indie creators never want to iterate on an idea, and then like corporations want to always iterate on an idea, and we don't have a middle ground. I think it's like, I think iterate on an idea until you run out of ideas. You know what I mean? Like it's iterate on a thing, and it doesn't have to be the same like brand name or whatever. But I'm just saying, like, don't throw away like everything you worked on, because like, you could try it again. You could try it again. I've been talking for an hour already because it's needed. So I'm just going through a couple of my games. Yeah. I was saying Signalis. I talk about an hour later. Signalis. Yeah, Signalis is pretty good. I don't know. I'm not good at playing it. Signalis in particular, right? Just like my favorite. Like I don't play many horror games, or I don't really like horror games that much because I scream or whatever. And when I play horror games, like it's somewhere between the absolute thrill of just like, oh man, I'm feeling something, my blood's pumping, and like, absolute terror. I don't even look at the screen. I want to close the fucking game, right? Like that's what. And I played through Resident Evil 1 remake, and I love that game. It's very engaging, and I see the appeal of horror now, right? And that's why I'm giving Signalis a chance. And and I played that game years and years ago, right? And it's very hard for me because I don't. But I think the gist of it is that, I was reading this tweet. It's like, gamers want challenging. It's like, the fucking cliff notes of it is like gamers want challenging games, but they don't want to admit it. And it's like, yeah, that's true. It's like, I should try exploring outside of my genre sometime, because I might find something new, because it's just really difficult to like do it. And it's like, if something's easy, if something's difficult, it's not worth doing ever. It's like, yeah, it's like something's difficult, you gotta try it. It's worth doing, I think, a lot of time. Or maybe it's not. Sometimes like people do difficult shit for no reason, and they're just like under the assumption that it's gonna be better for them, but it's not. I don't know. Maybe it happens the other way around. But yeah, it's a lot of good games. Ignalis is great though. Apparently, it's like Yuri, and it's also robots, and it's also cool like snowy cave, sci-fi cyberpunk shit. So basically, it was a game made specifically for me, and I didn't even know it. So like 2 years later, I'm trying it now, and apparently it's one of the greatest games ever made, and it makes me happy. I'm playing it, and I'm like, yeah, this is definitely like Kino. This is that peak shit. I'll admit. So, um, yeah, I could admit when I'm wrong, or not admit when I'm not wrong. I didn't say anything. But yeah, also Humble Games is a thing closed down because I hate corporations, hate corporations, hate corporations. Every time like, you have an issue in life, it's almost always caused by a corporation. Oh, your water sucks because a corporation cheaped out on it. Oh, you got a stomach ache? Oh, because corporation made you have food poisoning because they fucking put mouse droppings in your goddamn shit. Oh, you're fucking getting you fucking parents are sad because their job isn't paying enough because of a corporation. You know what I mean? I'm radicalized. I'm evil. Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry. I want to get. Let's not get political. Let's get political. I don't want to get. I don't want to talk about politics. Actually, I want to go and lurking like Virkin. Um. Yeah, I don't think people should. I don't think. Games are cool, but I think it sucks that I think it sucks that Humble Games closed because I mean, they don't publish any of my favorite games of all time, but One Step from Eden's pretty cool. I wanted like any kind of Mega Man kind of like replacement game. Good with me. Fate Tactics is pretty cool. People like Forager. I have it in my library. I don't really care for it. What's it called? Unpacking is a big. People like that. It's such a strangely big amount actually. Temtem kind of flopped, but I don't know. Maybe I give it a chance. It's like 1 cent. 1 cent. Got him. 1 cent. And like now it's probably the best game like they've even published like ever, right? And it's like just a shame that like it went down like that because you know the gaming industry is flopping right now basically. It makes me very sad because as you could tell, I feel very passionately about video games. I feel very passionately about art. And I think that no matter how much I complain about it, like corporations and rich motherfuckers are never gonna like fund the arts. They're gonna fund whatever makes them money, obviously. And then, whatever makes them money, they won't even like completely let it happen because guess what? Guess the fuck what? Uh they want more money. uh I think there really is no detriment for being anti-corporation because pro or anti-corporation, you're not talking to any fucking people who own corporations anyway. It's like if you want to be a hater, you can just hate but there's no reason to hate people, I guess. I know there is reason to hate corporate. I don't know. I'm very like passionate about this for no reason. I don't like thinking about it. I think play only genuinely like man. You know what I mean? Um, in the mimes. Anyway, but yeah, Toho Lunar Knight's pretty good. Umahara Kawase is a sleeper one. People don't know about that Umahara Kawase life. I don't know about that, man. Like again, like I gotta put you onto the good shit. You don't know about that life. So it's a game where you like use a fishing hook to swing on shit to like, and it has the greatest level design in video games, and it also has like 100 levels, and you only have a set of number of lives, and it's like an arcade game, and then once you get to the end of it, you just finish the game. That's it. It's not like storyline. It's like if Balloon Fight was a puzzle game. It's like that same kind of feeling. I don't know how to describe it. There's just a balloon fight. You know what I mean? Yeah, Momo 4. Sonic Mania, love Sonic Mania. Cyclonians. I'll always recommend. I don't know why, but I feel very strongly about Cyclonians right now. I think it's just a very like well written game, and it's like weird because I don't even know what the fuck Andrew Hussey is. Like I don't know anything about Homestuck at all. I just discovered it separately. Like I don't. I'm not associated with you. Like I don't know anything about fucking Homestuck at all. So I don't know. What do you want me to say? You know what I mean? Like, what do you want me to say? One shot. I forgot I had one shot. There's a lot of games you just forget you have. I just love going through my Steam library and just like looking at video games, talking about video games. Love my number 9. Mega Man X. I want you to hug that gator. I need to play through that because I bought it. I gotta play the first 2 minutes. Like it has very good. What's it called? The writing is pretty funny. I'm sure I think like with visual novels, it's like better translations. But I think we're talking about fucking localizations or whatever. I think I was thinking about like this earlier. I was playing Persona 3 like portable, right? And people don't think about people don't fucking I say people, but it's a frustration with the general mentality of people. And it's just like I'm stupid because I'm even complaining about literally nobody, you know? I'm sorry. This is really just a vent or whatever. But it's like when people get in these like whatever conversations, they don't do it from a historical lens, like a well-informed historical lens or whatever. Like they're a hater, but they're not a well-researched hater. I hate that shit. You don't understand. When I'm a hater, you have to be researched. You have to know what you're hating on. If you're gonna hate on localizations, there are very, very valid reasons to do that. Put on your fucking evidence shit. If you're gonna do a shit, go band for band. I'm telling you, if you're gonna actually like, if you're gonna be a hater, hate efficiently, dog. If you do it right. Like, okay, so like if you go into it, like there are tons of like good ones and there's tons of bad ones. Like in most of the history of anime and manga, they were changing like absurd amounts of the shit for no reason. And then now that fucking like gay shit is involved, people get like angry. I'm like, where is this energy at? Like people were fucking with 4Kids for like, what's it called? They're fucking against 4Kids for so long, and now they're going back. I'm like, man, the 4Kids rap was kind of fire. Like it is kind of fire, but I'm saying you can't you gotta go equally half. I think the gist of it. Okay, so like with, of course, the 4Kids is an easy target, but like with like a lot of like manga versions or whatever, right? They censor like the blood or whatever. They censor like or like the Ghost in the Shell one. They censor the fucking sex or whatever, the gay sex scene. No one talked about the Ghost in the Shell shit. The author, I think the author was like fine with it because like, okay, makes it more accessible to like the grander scheme of things. But that's like whatever. It's like, but I didn't hear anything talk about that. I think it's like or like the massive censorship that Sony's been doing that shit. I think people have been complaining about the Sony shit, but I'm saying like it's not the same level of energy towards like very rational shit because we're at the point where like the Fate visual novels are not even coming to PlayStation because they know that Sony would beat their ass in the censorship. I'm like, dog, how do you like? Don't fold, fight back, fight the fuck back. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm like, these people hate effectively. If like change my mind, fucking try to change my fucking mind. You just like if you're gonna be hating, you're not doing it right. Like these haters out here, like again, like I'm not trying to change your fucking mind, but I want to hate with efficiency, right? Like I don't know, maybe I'm doing it wrong too because maybe I'm not playing enough games. I don't want to be a hater. I don't enjoy hating things. I enjoy loving. But I'm like, if you're gonna be a hater, be a well-researched hater. There's some people who like hate on Fantano and they're well-researched. They have a fucking chart of every review he's done to the autistic point of view. Where it's like, all right, he gave the Ooze a 3. He gave My Bloody Twisted Fantasy a fucking 5. He gave a fucking they hate every single he gave Eminem's albums a fucking 0.00. like they hate they know every single album that he reviewed badly, and they have valid reasons on why he reviewed them badly because. Like, well, you're not even giving it a chance. You're having a hypocritical moment where you're talking about, oh, Kanye is like, you're talking about himself on this album, and then on the Ye album, you're like, oh, Kanye's open about himself. He's very emotionally open. I'm like, okay, that's a good point. I mean, I don't agree with that point because they're different contexts, but I see where you're coming from. That's well-researched hating. People who hate on Fantano, I don't like, because I kind of fuck with Fantano to a certain point, but I'm saying if you're gonna be a hater, be well researched because these people, this has been on my mind for so long. Because it's actually genuinely feel passionate about this shit. It's like if you're gonna hate, because so many people want to be a hater. Oh, I'm a Kendrick level hater. I want to be a hater so bad. Kendrick Lamar was building up that hate for 10 years. You have to have that shit brew inside of you. You can't make a meet the grams based on 1 second of hating. You can't just beat the grams based on one week of hating. And you can't beat the grams based on fucking like doing 5 seconds of online research or whatever. Like, I don't think people should hate to the point where they're just like harassing people. But I think if you're gonna be hating, you have to have the list of valid reasons. Talk about this shit. Make a fucking essay about it. Think about it. People don't fucking think about shit anymore. People don't fucking consider what they're talking about. Think about it. Consider. Do analysis on yourself and the other thing you're hating on. I cannot stress this enough. If you're gonna be a hater, be a good hater. This is what I'm talking about. I have the boomer take. I think like we're in the this is what I think like the participation award with hating. Like that's how I feel about this shit. People back in the like, oh, give everything a participation award. That's how I feel with hating. People hate because they see it on Twitter and it's on their timeline and like, oh, I don't like it because of my timeline. you're not hating. You're fucking just like hating, like you're hating on the base level, like because you see it, and it's like opportunistic hating. That's not how I feel. That's not the kind of hate that even matters. It's not the hate that's in your soul. Because that's the J. Cole kind of hating. That's the hating. Like, it didn't feel right in my soul. I'm sorry. Because you'll fold. If someone calls you out on your shit, you'll fold. If you hating and you're a real hater, A1 hater, then you'll double down. You'll double down. You'll triple down. You're like, I feel this shit in my bones. I'm not saying everyone should double down or triple down. But I'm saying, like, if you genuinely believe in that shit and you actually like have a logic that you're breaking down and you're doing well researched shit, then there's a certain level of point where like, well, I can't argue with that. You know what I mean? If you really deduce your shit down and you use an actual level of reasoning and logic, then I can't argue with it. That's the kind of level of hate you should be at. It's not opportunistic hating, and I fucking hate this shit. I hate that people hating wrong. It's like you're fucking up the game for everybody else who's a real hater. Get the fuck out. Get out the fucking pool and let someone else in. Literally. I'm gatekeeping hating, because if you're gonna hate, don't fucking half-ass this shit. People be half-assing everything nowadays. They be half-assing conversations, be half-assing like their fucking schoolwork or their fucking life. They'll be half-assing like if they're artists, to be half-assing their art, like, oh, I'm not going all in, you know. They like fold half of their stuff, like, oh, you know, I gotta do what the appeals to the audience, you know, gotta market it. Like, people half-ass everything. And I'm like, if you can't even, like, if you're gonna be half-assing everything else and you half-ass even hating, god damn. It's like, okay, like I don't want, but I'm saying this as if like hating is a good thing. I'm not saying hating is a good thing, right? Because hating is a bad thing. But I think, like, you know, because people are gonna hate anyway. That's the gist of it. You know, you can't stop hating. I think, like, but the thing is about it is like if someone has legitimate like qualms with somebody, especially someone who's like big and like powerful or whatever, who's like, like a Mr. Beast hater or something, right? You know, you gotta give the rational reasons aside from like, you know, he's rich. Like, okay, so you have to say, okay, you know, Street's employees. Oh, he has like, you know, very like terrible structures for a video. One aspects I was actually I think of, I watched a Little Joel video, right? And Little Joel goes over like Mr. Beast as an editor or as a like production like manager, and he's like he goes really deep into it, because not really deep into it, but it's like he goes into it. It's like that's not a hater, that's just like a watcher, right? And it's like that actually affects me more than like any of these other shit, because it's like Mr. Beast isn't even like good at what he does, and I think like the thing I don't like hate Mr. Beast, but I'm saying like as an example, it's like, you know, if you're not good at making a production like a storyline through the footage you have, right? Or making an entertainment video, like an entertaining video for your audience. It's like, what's the point of going so hard in it, right? You're not improving your craft, you know? And everyone needs to improve their craft, but I think Mr. Beast was so hard about improving his craft that like that he forgot how to make entertaining videos. So of course people are gonna watch it on the base level of its being popular, but you know, it's like lapsing, it's like burning out, it's like lapsing in popularity because, or will eventually, I guess that's how all things work, because it's just like, you know, so it's like the editing. The editing is just not presenting an engaging storyline for someone to latch onto, like a reality shows do, right? Reality shows, you know, again, they're fucking quote unquote slap, but they present a storyline that's just something. That's why Total Drama Island or whatever, like the parody of it, is actually getting the genuine shit. Or like people watch fucking seasons of Jersey Shore, because even if it's quote unquote slap, then if people have like a reason to stay in tuned, right? It's a guilty pleasure for a lot of people. Like Mr. Beast videos are so vapid to the point where it makes like, you know, reality shows seem depthful in comparison, which is absurd to say. But I'm saying like, you know, that's not hating, that's just being well researched and critical. It's like, you know, it's like reviewers who like review people's movies and then they don't like them, but they give their reasons. Like even if their reasons are fucked up and invalid, I mean, you know, it's like they give very like depthful reasons of it. Like that's how like, people used to do in like the 1970s, right? When 1970s cinema or 80s cinema, they used to like do like fucking like the New York Times or like the New Jersey Times or like the fucking like LA Times, a lot of times. But that's the gist of it. It's like people, you know, who are well researched. And that's again with Fantano. Fantano fucking despises fucking like Nav or like Drake or something, Eminem. But a lot of those times I'm like, I kind of agree with the reasons, because it's like, yeah, they don't produce, like for Drake's instance, I don't fuck with Drake because I didn't fuck with Drake before. But it's like, you know, you made one good album and then all the rest of them, well, okay, debatably a couple more, but you know, I don't like I'm not a Marvin's Room fan. All right, calm down. But I think the gist of it is that, especially with potential, if you have the massive amount of money in the world, then you have the potential to at least produce something that's more like catchy or something more like energetic than what is like done, right? And it's like, yeah, I get it. I get it. Especially when you compare it to other artists, it's like, yeah, it's like, you know, that's why I'm like well researched hater. You have to be like into this shit. So if you hate an anime, like you have to say, all right, if you hate fucking Naruto or something, right? I don't know why you'd hate Naruto of all things, like super that bad. But like okay, the pacing of it, blah blah blah. You're like, okay, this right here, the fucking animation drops here. There's so many episodes that are just like this structure and this shit and this that. You gotta break that shit down. And that's what those fucking 4 hour video essays used to be, where they had like big like that's what fucking like those I don't notice people talking about the fucking like H bomber guy ones, because I mean I think maybe not the oldest ones, I haven't watched those ones, but the fairly recent, more recent ones where it's like, oh, this is kind of bad. It's like those reasons are fairly breaking down fairly well, and it's like sometimes I'll go back and watch or play some of those things with that, like those criticisms in mind, and sometimes I'll agree or disagree. Like I don't agree with all his thoughts on Fallout 3. I like Fallout 3. I don't think it was bad at all. But I thought about it. I'm like, okay, this is like giving me new enlightenment. It's I could see where he's coming from. And it's like the haters now, they don't even want to like convince somebody. They want to hate blindly. The game's fucked up. The game is fucked up. You gotta realize. You gotta. There's no passion in anything anymore. You can't even hate right. You know what I mean? I'm genuinely depressed about it. Like people are the kids don't got nothing to look forward to, man. They don't got nothing to look forward to in their fucking lives no more, man. They can't even like look forward to hating. All they got is fucking Roblox and fucking Fortnite shit. This is like, well, I gotta get no job. There's no money to be made. They can go. Got no bitches. They ain't no even no J. Cole album. Jermaine Cole, I guess. There's nothing to look forward to. It's just so fucked up. The game's so fucked up. It's so sad. And it's like, if people are gonna make their identity as a hater, do it well. And people like, it's just like, are we just all depressed where we can't even hate right? We're just like, I don't want to do nothing. I don't want to hate anymore. I don't want to hate either. I like loving. I like enjoying things. I like all these fucking Steam games. The fucking Nights in the Dreams. Nights in the Dreams is so cool because I'm seeing on people on Twitter draw their ass, and and they have a big ass for some reason. I don't know. I think that's cool, but I don't know. I like I enjoy loving things and enjoy like valuing things and enjoy making friends and communicating. I like that stuff. But I think it's just like if you can't even hate right, it's like God, you must really just genuinely be depressed. It's just like there's just nothing to look forward to. All we do is just doom scroll and talk about TikToks that we like or dislike. It's just like we're just gone, man. It's just fucked up. I'm so sad about it. So, like, I don't know. But yeah, I was thinking about movies and like video games. I've been talking for an hour and a couple minutes, right? And this is a podcast at this point. So I'm talking about a little bit more. And then once my throat gets dry, I might just quit. But yeah. Like again, I don't like I don't know. I don't want to be hated on because being hated on is, I think, well, I don't know. I guess it doesn't really matter to me if I'm casually hated on. It's like, oh, someone just like, like I don't fuck with you, or like, I don't, as long as I don't fucking see that shit. If someone's like because hating is different than harassment. I think that's the gist of it. Like people conflate the two. Like hating, like the other person doesn't know you're hating on them. If you talk about someone like in your own space, it's like you don't have to like everyone, right? It's like you don't have to fuck with everybody. But I think the gist is like, you have if harassing somebody is like hating them like publicly, making sure they see it and continuously, you know what I mean? But and especially it's like, just like making sure everyone else like knows I hate them. I hate them so much. It's like that's just like a final thing about it. Most people would just be satisfied just talking with other people about how much they hate something, and then the other people are like, oh yeah, that's kind of crazy, and then they're like, oh yeah, it's right, and then they go back to playing like Street Fighter, Third Strike, which everyone should do. I want to play Street Fighter Third Strike right now. You know who I main Street Fighter Third Strike? I main Ryu and Elena. I love playing Third Strike. And the thing about Third Strike is that it's just so satisfying to play. You know what I mean? Like you have the parry mechanic. I don't know how to parry that well. I'm very bad at parrying. I think I can do it by pressing was it down or pressing back. You gotta press forward or like up. I don't know. You can't press up. I think you can do it down or forward, depending on what direction you're in, I guess, right? But it's not like thing. But the game mechanics are just so satisfying, right? You have someone throw a fireball at you and you go, Psh, bitch, no, fuck that, and then you just do that for like a half an hour, right? I think that's also a reason why like Chun Li is particularly good in this game because like in a game where you could parry, like it's like finally a Street Fighter with de-incentivized fireballs for once. Like the top characters are like more physical like characters and like zoners fireball throwers. Maybe I'm just used to like Blaze Blue or something where they have like absurdly like oppressive zoners sometimes, right? Like oh god, don't get me started on like some of those zoners and like the first one especially. Was there like one matchup where it was like the worst matchup in like fighting game history is like Iron Tiger versus like Lychee or something. It's like ridiculous. Like Iron Tiger didn't have fucking shit in like Calamity Trigger Dog. Oh man, Tiger was just rough. That shit was rough. Oh man, I gotta admit that was like man, I love that game though. What's it called? Blaze Blue is so fun. Blaze Blue is so fun. I didn't know about Guilty Gear until like way later. Well, I knew about its existence, but I never played it because I didn't ran it or I didn't see any copies of it or whatever. Um, and it's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't go. And it's like one of those things where it's like if you play like Blaze Blue, you get a different understanding of fighting games than if someone plays with like that's why shit like I always play fucking anime fighters. So I'm like like why is this game so like slow? I'm like I grew up on the fucking like most ridiculously fast games from fucking frame one, and going back to Street Fighter 2 was like inhaling a snail or something, waiting for a snail to crawl onto my tongue, salt itself, and become delicious as time passes. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Also, I have the not the Saga games, but the like this collection of Saga. There's a Romancing Saga too, and 3 on Steam. There's a couple of Romancing Saga games, which Romancing Saga is one of those RPG series that I really can't get into because it's just a matter of like, you know, it's just a matter of it's gameplay first, like SMT. It's very much gameplay first. It's like Final Fantasy, but just entirely gameplay. And with me, I like story and characters more than everything. And it's like I can't really, so I don't like go into like older RPGs or whatever, or like because I prefer games that just have like inbuilt main characters that have things. I don't really prefer silent protagonists, but I get like they definitely are easier to write in terms of story because you write around them basically. I think I think I put a lot of my own idea into like Earthbound characters, for instance, right? Like they have like 2 or 3 lines of dialogue, and then they're like silent for like the rest of time, and then like you kind of get a good idea who they are even from that, Uh, it's just like one of those, and I don't know. It's just like Saga's just cool. Saga's just great. But it's just not for me. But I did get the collection Saga just for research on my own RPG because I wanted to be like black and white or whatever, or like 1 bit because it'd just be way easier to make. You know what I mean? Like it's not yeah. I mean it's not 1 bit. It's like 4 colors. You can convey a lot with 4 colors basically. But yeah, Saga's really hard though to get into because just like at least the Game Boy ones you have to really know what build you're going for. Like from second, like the first second. Like if you pick like all fighters, you're cooked. If you don't have a mutant, I think you have to have at least like 1 mutant to fucking even get anywhere. Like not mutant, yeah, what's it called? Esper or whatever they're called. There's a lot of there's like issues with that. And I think like I'm glad with Square Enix. I'm like I kind of fuck with like the way they're doing their like re-releases because they like push all their like games everywhere. So if you have a Square Enix game that you've been hoping gets like ported, it will probably happen eventually. Like I have the fucking Live Alive remake right now, right next to me, and I think the gist of it is that there's just so many like games to like for them to do, you know. So eventually they'll probably remake Chrono Trigger or port it to Switch or something. You know what I mean? And yeah, I'm sorry. Listen to this shit. You think I'm an insane person, and I am. You're correct. Um, but at the very least, it's like, do you love me though? Do you love me? Yeah. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Whatever. Never mind. There's a couple cool games on here. There's a lot of cool games. I just like video games. Oh, a Garurumin, A Monstrous Adventure is a very good one. If you like Mega Man Legends, very much recommend that game. Because what the thing about that game is that it's like cute. It's very cute, and it's very simplistic. It's on like 3 consoles, on PSP. It's on like on PSP. It's on 3DS. It's on Steam. It might be on Switch, but I'm not sure about that. And I got it for like $3. And I was surprised about how like I bought it because like, oh, it's cute and it looks like an action RPG. It's nice, but it's just very like. Cause that's the kind of game I'd get on like PSP back in the day, like a fucking GameStop, which I hate GameStop now. I want them to die. I hate GameStop so much. They only sell Funko Pops now, basically, and they sell overpriced Chainsaw Man merch. Specifically, they sell overpriced My Hero Academia merch. Put that shit on clearance. Show's over. Fuck that shit. And yeah, but this game's cool. I'd probably be this type of shit I'd like go and buy, and I'd probably like play through, and then like years later, I probably wouldn't finish it, but like years later, I'd be like, "Yo, you ever play that game?" And they're like, "No, I didn't play that game. That's pretty cool." Yeah, I like games. I enjoy video games. I get joy out of playing video games because it makes me happy. And instead of talking right now, I should be playing video games. And also, I'm getting a little tired, so let me just like go through a couple more games and then just like be out of here because I'm taking up your time, I'm taking up my time, I got my shit to do. I kind of getting a little tired. I want to take a short nap before I go and pack more shit. That's Steins Gate. I forgot about Steins Gate. So the thing with Steins Gate, you ever heard of a game called Petite Computer? No, you haven't. So Petite Computer was this software in the DSi in which you could program in BASIC with a fucking stylus, character by character. I don't know how people did this shit, and you could use that to make video games basically, and then you could upload those games to like a server, I guess, and then not even a server. You could save those games as a QR code, and the data was so small you could save it in a QR code, like and it works offline, and so you could just like trade those QR codes and then download whatever game, right? So people remade a ton of different games on there. I remember the first way I played Mega Man 2 was on there for some goddamn reason. So you had a Mega Man Maker before Mega Man Maker was a thing, like 5 years before Mega Man Maker was a thing. It was like a big difference. And it was kind of crusty, but I fuck with it. Yeah. So and you had that. You had like FNAF. You had like everyone tried to do their own Smash Brothers for like 5 seconds and they gave up. There's a lot of obscure like games that were on there that were actually really cool. That had like roguelikes on there. I remember there's like a Minecraft kind of like game on there. There were like Outrun clones. Hopefully you find my old 3DS. I know where it is, but if I still have the data on there, I'll just like have the opportunity to show it off one day. But I don't have a capture card, so I literally would have to go and record that shit like on my fucking like. Maybe I could like stream it. I think you could use a 3DS like app to like use as a capture card. But I probably wouldn't do that if I can't do that because, you know, I don't want to fucking show my face or whatever. But also, I think the thing about it is that the 3DS, it's one of those consoles that like is just kind of like like kind of inaccessible still. Like you can still like you can emulate a lot of the games on there, but it's like it's dual screen, so you can't really do it all the way through. But yeah, one of the games on there was a Steins Gate, and that's the first way I ever played like anything related to Steins Gate. I didn't even know because whenever I like heard about Steins Gate, like the anime or whatever, I was like, oh, the game from Petite Computer? Wow. Yeah, that's how fucking weird my fucking shit is. Like, and I think it's 2016, so I think yeah, it might have been around that same time, honestly. Yeah, so someone made like was it Steins Gate 0 or something? They made like a little bit of the Steins Gate like one of the Steins Gate games, like a demake of it, and they put it on Petite Computer. It's like fucking 8-bit, and it's super impressive, kind of incredible actually, like the equivalent of like one of those Famicom ones, or like literally like MSX1 games. It had to like draw in every single screen. It literally was a Famicom like text adventure. It was so insane. So I bought Steins Gate because of that context. Like, and I watched a little bit of the anime. I watched like 12 episodes of the anime. I got to the part where like, everything changes. Everything changes. So maybe I'll go back to it. But yeah, I like Steins Gate. Final Fantasy 3. I was talking to someone about the Final Fantasy pixel remasters. I'm not gonna get into it here, but there are very distinct versions of every Final Fantasy, and the pixel remasters are kind of a way to conform all the 2D games into one kind of brand. And I think you shouldn't buy Final Fantasy 6 through this way. I guess you at least try to avoid it. And it's not like any of them are like bad versions. That the whole thing about them is that they're okay versions. They're pretty solid. I think they work for most people. I think Final Fantasy 6 doesn't have the same vibes though because they use the same like standard. I think the tile sets they use for Final Fantasy like 6 are the same as like all the other ones, and it's like like the sprites for Final Fantasy 6 are just not as advanced as the ones that were on the Super Famicom. Really, you know what I mean? Like this, like they in density and pixel density they are, but like I don't know, lighting, all this stuff is just not the same. I don't know, but all the other ones are perfectly fine. I was talking to someone else, like Final Fantasy 1. Any way you play Final Fantasy 1 is fine because it's fucking Final Fantasy 1. Are you gonna really go there for like the, you know, there's a certain level of just like you just go in there for the historical value basically. Final Fantasy 2, like again, historical value. And I got it because I like Final Fantasy 2 a little bit, but not a game you really want to play really. It's like bootleg saga that I kind of fuck with, but you know what I mean. Like, but it's a good changes pace. Final Fantasy 3 is probably where it starts getting to like where people would want to play on its own terms. But there's and it's like you wouldn't want a 3D the remake of that because difficulty issues maybe, I don't know. But I like 3. I want to play more of 3. There's 4. 4 any version's like okay, 4 is weird because I guess there's the definitive version would probably be the PSP version or the 3D remake or this version if you want to, but anyone besides the original like Super Nintendo version, because it just got rid of features on that shit. And then 5 is just like wasn't ported that often in general relative. No, 6 was like ported at least. Like I don't know, I forgot which one was ported more. But yeah, 5 was it just wasn't ported for a while, and then I don't hear anyone talk about 5 except Battle on the Bridge, So yeah, I don't know. But I was thinking about like all this Square Enix shit, like Chrono Cross. They ported fucking Various Day Life. Yeah, I could buy that game for like with Bravely Default 2, and it cost like less than that for some reason. Man, people fucking hate that game. People fucking hate that game. People fucking hate that game. Oh my god, it's terrible. $3. I wouldn't recommend this game even if it was free. Jesus Christ. Oh my god. Dude, they hate this game. Oh yeah, Kingdom Hearts. I'm glad I got ported to Steam finally. I have it on like PS3 or whatever. I mean, there's like a bunch of different ways to play Kingdom Hearts, but mostly you have to be a PlayStation owner. I'm glad it's on Steam because who's gonna buy it through Epic? Dude, like, you was to really want to play Kingdom Hearts right then and there if you wanted to buy it through Epic. I'm not glad you. I fuck with it. But I'm saying like, for me, nah, I'm good. But I do want to play Kingdom Hearts at some point. 1 and 2. 3, I'm good. But yeah, thinking about a lot of games. I should play more games instead of talking about them. I love talking about games. I love thinking about games. I love drawing characters from games and looking at them. I love Tifa. What's it called? I love video games. So I think sometimes you want to play them, you want to look at them. He's like, oh, this is a cool game, right? So many cool games. Like, yeah. But, sometimes you gotta play games too. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm tired now from talking. I'm sorry I took up all your time and yapped about nothing. I think, we've had a good hour and a half long conversation here, And, through these 90 minutes, have we learned anything? Probably not. I think that we've actually like lost understanding of each other. But I think the gist of it is that, what do you want to do with your life? Is it just look at things or is it doing things? I don't know. You do what you want to. But I'll also say that, like, man, people on Twitter really know how to draw attractive women. Jesus fucking Christ. I'm about to